a different kind of environment for us as entrepreneurs when you are a woman to go ahead and start, right? Yes, that's correct.
Your phone, social media, right?
Yeah.
And the family cultures you come from, the community culture you're coming from, it's like tani gyo katti mokadda, what will they think? It's like that. So then the woman, but then the guy, you get to go. So in terms of resources, like if we look at resources as an aspect of, what would you say, opportunities given, like looking at resource as an opportunity given from when you're born, CYP is also teaching women not to hate on men and put them down as well. But we're saying that we are equal, we are all equally capable,
Find your way. But at that time, it was very hard. I had to start with my business partner at the time. We had to start like from scratch. We didn't know anything about clothing. So we were going to places places that we get to know from our friends and family. We went there physically. Those people were not very, they didn't know how to work through WhatsApp. Now, of course, I would just send a photo on WhatsApp and they'll get it done.
Hi, I'm Zara, and we are here to record a very exciting podcast today with very exciting women. One is Dr. Rushma, a clinical psychologist based in Kandy, and Surangi Pereira, an entrepreneur of a female clothing brand called Xflare. So before we start, I just want to introduce myself to you. I'm a journalist, maybe over 10 years, and within that period, I myself have started my own startup, which was a translation company with 3 other friends. And I think we just got out just in time before the AI revolution, before Google took over our jobs. So now we are looking to do other things. And last year, Dr. Rushma actually suggested that I join her in this exciting venture called Sisterhood in Sri Lanka, which looks to help women entrepreneurs to scale up, start up their businesses, and mentor them throughout their journey in business, in their careers, or finally to find some financial independence. So it was all very confusing, but it sounded very exciting. So I have joined Rushma in that endeavor. Just a side note, Rushma and I have been friends for over 2 decades. Yeah. So we followed each other in our professional careers here and there, in and out. And now it's very exciting to be working together. So that's enough about me. Let's get back to you, Rushma and Surangi. To start with, can you give us a brief introduction about yourselves and how you guys met at the Sisterhood?
Surangi, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll start. So, hi, my name is Surangi Pereira. Thanks, Zara, for the introduction. How did Rushma and I meet? Rushma was my therapist, I think back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So, even after the therapy, I think it was more therapeutic to keep chatting to Rushma. Like we became friends. I really don't remember how that process happened, but I really just found ourselves being good friends and with the same mindset. Yeah, so that's how we met. So it's been a few years since we have been knowing each other.
Yeah.
So how did you get into your business?
I started another different brand called Island Nation in 2017 again. Business partner as well. It was mainly his idea. And then I found, oh wow, this is actually something that I really would love to do, but I would have not thought of it on my own, which happened in the most amazing way. And now I've continued doing that for all these years. Yeah, so that's how it was. Like one fine day, I found myself working on a clothing brand. Again, definitely not planned at all. I was into human resource management. I was in Australia as well for a while, then came back to Sri Lanka. So it was just, I think with luck, I found myself here in this field and I'm really enjoying. So yeah.
Nice. And Rushma, maybe you can chip in here.
Okay. So yes, Surangi and I used to work together in a therapeutic capacity long ago. And then I actually have no idea, Surangi, how we ended up just The
I
session
know. Yes,
ended,
I don't
and
remember that part.
yeah, it's one of those things, like where you're in a position of not knowing and knowing, and then suddenly you don't know that
Yeah.
point where you know that, oh, we are friends now. It just transitioned
Yes.
like you can't still put a point on it. Um,
Exactly. Yes.
and then after that, we were just chatting every now and then. She and I happened to connect on one fine day. How we ended up working together with
Yeah.
CYP was very interesting.
Yes.
She just called me. I happened to call her also. We missed each other's calls actually, right?
I
And then,
think so. I remember. Sorry, Rushma, I remember this part clearly. That text message that I sent saying I have a lot of females asking me how to start a business and all that. And then you miss that part. Of course, I remember very clearly.
yeah,
And then that's the like the inception of CYP.
yes, during COVID, I was seated
Yes,
on the stairs
just
of.
before. Yeah, yeah.
I was seated on the stairs just before COVID at this meditation center that I was staying at the time, and then had this call with you where I was like, "Hey, same
Yeah.
here. I have women
Yes,
coming
yes.
through about this," and we just started
That
putting.
was like a light bulb moment for both of us.
Yeah,
So
it was.
just to take that, I think I remember you guys telling us that that it also had some connection to helping abused women. How did that come about?
That Zara was actually okay. So my practice is based in Kandy, as you've already mentioned, and part of the practice, we used to work with Safe House. Actually, I cannot divulge the details here. And so when we were, that was a halfway house where girls between the ages of any girl below 18, right, would be taken there when they were found in abusive relationships, abusive households, and emotional abuse, physical abuse, you name it, everything, sexual abuse as well. So my team at that time, we were working to help the girls have employability skills plus help their education. So we used to teach life skills and English, because I'm actually a certified English language teacher as well for second language learners. Okay. So through that, we had this program where you teach English in this way, how they can use it, how they can even use it, because children used to go to school from there. And then children who were older than 14, 15, and who were already in relationships and were abused as well sexually, we found that they used to go out, abscond sometimes, and go back to the abuser because they had the money. They couldn't find skills or job to get themselves employed. And one of the reasons at the time, employing below 16, it's illegal, right? So sometimes they won't receive the job because of that. But most of the time it was because of not having that skill set. That's how our work with the abused girl child was at the time.
So, Surangi, and you mentioned this also at the start that a lot of women were messaging you asking how to start a business and all that. Rushma says that it was your spark kind of led to the CY, create your own path. Isn't that right? CYP, you guys are used to this. So, how did that program start with your own experiences also?
Yeah, at the time, so 2017 was before COVID, before everything that has happened in Sri Lanka so far. I actually made my Instagram profile public, page public, because there was a lot of girls who followed my business page, wanted to follow me. So I felt like, oh, if I don't accept it, they'll think that I'm like proud or something like that. So for a while I did that as well. And then they were so sweet. They were my customers actually, and they helped to grow the brand like immensely because they were very loyal customers, all of them. And they messaging me on my personal page. I would say about 10 of my customers kept messaging me on my personal page saying that they also want to start a business. See, in 27 now, of course, I'm still in the clothing business, but you would know you have so many online brands when you
Yeah.
check in Sri Lanka, right? But at the time, it was not that popular. And now everyone knows there's a lot of places where you can find on how to start something. Like there's a lot of business advertising. I mean, the behind the scenes tasks like printing and sewing and all that stuff. They're advertising on social media. So it's easy to find your way. But at that time, it was very hard. I had to start with my business partner at the time. we had to start like from scratch. We didn't know anything about clothing. So we were going to places where like places that we get to know from our friends and family. We went there physically. Those people were not very like what it called. They didn't know how to work through WhatsApp. Now of course I would just send a photo on WhatsApp and they'll get it done. So things were not that easy as it is now back then. So these ladies were asking me, how do you start a business? And I'm a person who always believe in collaboration, and I don't think that you need competition to some extent, but I always believe in helping others, even if it's in, I mean, they're asking me how to start the same business that I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So I
It's
always
like
believe that
helping your
helping
future
somebody else
competitors.
will only, yes, exactly, will only make me make my business better.
Mhm.
Right? I don't believe in point that helping somebody in the same business would make me put. If I'm doing the right thing, if I'm like moving with the trends and the technology and doing everything that I have to do, then of course my brand will also succeed. And there is no reason why I shouldn't help somebody else who wants to get into the same business. It's an open market, right?
Yeah.
And even if I don't help them, they will definitely find a way. So it doesn't really make. I always I'm open to helping anyone who wants to come into the business, or even if it's a different trade other than clothing. And if they want some advice, I'll always give that advice if I can. So that's what happened. They were talking to me, and I have actually had a lot of contacts. Okay, you can contact this person for this task, like that. So this was happening in the background with me. And then Rushma was telling me about her work that she explained just before, and which has a point where she's trying to help these women get employment, like get financial security, that is.
Yeah.
So now we have two sets of people asking the same question, but in two different ways.
Yeah.
Right. So what we talked about was how do we connect and how can we help from being in the middle? How can we help both these groups? So
I
that
just,
is how,
that's interesting.
yeah,
I just want to interject. Sorry. I just had a
no problem.
brainwave. You said just these two women from, two groups of women from two different sides, as from Rushma's side and yours. But I guess the difference is the women Rushma worked with, a lot of the problem is they are also diverted to very traditional
Yes,
kinds of ways of employment, right? Maybe
yes,
they're taught to stitch or paint,
yeah,
cookery or something like that. Very, I don't want to say, but like female kind of gender kind of businesses. And while
yeah.
Surangi's women, like who are interested in, they have themselves have chosen to go into
Hmm.
cloth making or something like that. So that choice
Yes,
is a
and
different, don't you all think?
Yeah, but
also, Zara, sorry, Rushma,
go
quickly.
on,
So
Surangi.
also, the group of women that came from Rushma's side has gone through a lot, and their confidence level was in a different state. And
Yeah.
from opposed to this side, they are the ones who are asking me. They want to start a business,
Hmm. Yes.
so they know that they can do it. They just don't know how. So that confidence level. Okay, I can do it. I just want to know, okay, how did you do it? Can you tell me? I also want to do it. So
Yes.
that confidence level was in two different stages,
Of
which was
course.
very interesting. Yes, yeah.
Like, so the girls we worked at the safe house was a separate group. We didn't have tech. But the women that I spoke to Surangi about were also women who are coming to my practice, right? And I was working with, and who also experienced the same kind of abuse as adults or as children growing into it, and they get into marriages or relationships, right? And families, like Zara said, one of the things about the traditional or the socially conditioned gendered role kind of profession that you have to go to if you go into a business. So a lot of them actually, they were in roles like either you are working for a bank, or you are a teacher, or you're a lawyer, those very secure, or those who were in engineering field. So those secure culturally, that very subliminal conditioning of like, okay, if you take this, you'll be secure. But all of them had this passion to own and create something of their own.
Something,
They
yeah.
just didn't know how. Right. So it was also the mental game, and also the practical aspects of it. Like, how do you set about this? And because at that time, Surangi and I both had registered businesses, and
Yeah.
some of them who were running a business on the side, the women that I was working with, they weren't registered business. So what happens is they couldn't grow wealth because it was coming into their personal account and their families expected them to take it out and give it to them for their. So, the layers, there were just so many layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads into like bookkeeping and accounting and all of these things and the value of it.
Yeah.
So that's where Surangi and I were like, oh, hey, we struggle to set up our own business, right? Like in a very like a legal, proper as a company, so that we are accountable, so that we have all of these things. So that's how we figured, oh, how do we do the practical skills? We had support along
Yeah.
the like somebody to ask for. So some of the women who were speaking to us didn't have anyone to ask. So that's how we thought like, oh, put this professional thing together called create your path, your own path,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
may be. We had some interesting persons join it as well, like a young woman doing succulents, like very
Oh, yes.
varied of businesses. It was really, really nice.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
From what
There
both
was,
of you guys are telling me, I see that women have access to fewer resources than men. So, and fewer networks, fewer places to go and ask advice from. So, why do you think that is so? Is it because they have less opportunity to go out, mingle, or like, what is your kind of take on that?
Yeah. Surang, do you want to go?
yeah, I'll start. So, yes, what I felt actually, even today, I'm feeling this sometimes because now I have been in the business for quite a few years, about 6, 7 years. So I know a lot of vendors and have a lot of contacts. I'll be working with the same people. So when I now I'm quite comfortable to go there and get things done, right? But even now there are instances where I have to find new vendors. I have to go to new places. At that point, even now, I feel a bit unsafe. So I always want to go with somebody, right? So that is still there actually. When that's what came to my mind when Zahala was talking. Women do have access to. Okay, I won't say women have access to fewer resources. I mean, we have access to these people. Anybody can walk in.
Yeah.
Anybody, if you find the number, anybody can call it. The resources are there. It's just, I think for some of us, the confidence level saying, oh, I can't do this, I don't know how to do that. From the smaller ages, some of us have been taught to be like, keep our mouth shut, do what we are supposed to do. Even in a relationship, just stay in your border.
Range.
Right? Yeah, stay in your range. And that's how women in the country, most women, I would say, not everybody, uh, that's how they grow up. And because of that, the lack of confidence is lower in most women. So they don't know how to go out on their own. Back in the day, I used to travel a lot. So I told you, when I started, I told you I had my page on public because all these girls wanted to send requests and all that. So I used to travel a lot on my own. And I was surprised at the number of messages that I got because I mean, I'm a person who loves traveling and I love taking photos. Okay, so just because of that, I always update my stories or Instagram of nice places like
Feet.
scenery and food, food, a lot of food. So all that. So the messages that I got is, how are you traveling alone? Aren't you scared? How are you how do you find places to stay? How do you book tickets? How do you do this and how do you do that? This is all from girls, right? And actually, this happened before I had that with Rukshma, the chat with Rukshma, and started CYT because this was adding to my thoughts at that time when okay, there are people who really want to go out there, but they don't know how. So the resources are there. I think it's mainly the confidence level and also which the way we have been brought up, which leads to the lower confidence level of trying to find these resources. And most women, they are not used to stepping out of the house without another person, even to go and find the vendor, let alone traveling alone to another country. Even to start your own business, to find a vendor, they are not used to stepping out of the house without another elder, like say mother or auntie, neighbor auntie or somebody.
Or a
You
brother.
have to go with a brother.
Husband.
Yeah,
It could be a male or female. They have to go with somebody else. You like
someone.
go on someone. Go on your own.
That's true.
Uh, but
Just, yeah,
it is
remembering, I mean, growing up, well, not from when we are going to after university and all, I think Rushma and I both lived our lives both in Kandy and Colombo. We would shuttle back and forth on our own, right? And
yeah,
I'm sure you would have had that too, Rushma. People would wonder how we are traveling alone, living alone in Colombo. So
Yeah.
things like that. But thinking about what you said, a lot of entrepreneurship is going out there and doing, right? It's not
Mm.
just
yes,
talking, it's actually
yeah,
going out there
exactly.
and talking to people, networking, having coffee, which if
Yes,
you're a woman and you ask some person, do you want to have coffee and discuss this, can be taken the wrong way. I mean, as
exactly.
journalists, female journalists, we also get that, right? So it is
Just
a different kind of environment for us as entrepreneurs when you are a woman to
mm.
go ahead
Yes,
and start, right? Yes, that's correct.
Just to
Rush,
add on to that,
yeah,
like
Rushma.
it's very, very true what Surangi says, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or even now in 2025, it's shocking the volume of social conditioning that we
mm,
have, through even your phone, social media, right?
yeah,
And the family cultures you come from, the community culture
mm,
you're coming from, it's like tani gyo katti mokad, what will they think?
yeah, exactly.
It's like that. So then the woman, but then the guy, you get to go. So in terms of
Mm,
resources, like if we look at resources as an aspect of what would you say, opportunities given, like looking at resource as an opportunity given from when you're born, right? As a girl child or a boy child. So in that,
yeah,
if we look at it, it is very limiting the resources that a woman has, right? The opportunity to access you have now when you're talking about business level, yes, the resources exist, but the opportunities to access it
mm,
are
mm,
so reduced by the conditioning. And we as women, there's this concept in psychology called learned helplessness. You learn through the condition
yes,
to be
exactly.
helpless, like I have no choice, I can't do
Yeah,
it.
mm,
Literally, even if there's a big fat check sitting on your table saying, pick that check up for your business right now, you can do it and you will be
yeah,
successful. The woman would be skeptical. Like, should I do? No, I don't think I can. I can't. I can't take it because you've
Yeah.
been drilled. And this
yeah,
I've noticed since, like, if I take the patterns I've been running my practice, this year is my 9th year. Okay. And the pattern I have noticed pretty much 80% of the women I talk to, as soon as they hit puberty, the conversations change. Now they would have been, and parents come and tell me this as well. So it's corroborated both ways. Huh? So, what if oh loud goes, Isarati anwa kattiteka katha karanwa, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what happened. And then the girl will tell me, well, they said, I think now you have had your period. You need to pipe down, quieten down. Be like
yeah,
a girl.
Yeah,
Be a girl. So she learns at 13, 14, 15, and nowadays periods are coming earlier. So 9 years old, you're learning
mm,
that to be a girl means be quiet. In
yeah,
2025, in
be
2025,
pampered.
right? So that way, when you look at it, yes, and so then they carry this psychological burden of the culture and the tradition in their mind, right? Can I do it because I have a specific role to fulfill as a human and a good woman
yes,
of this family, right? Taking care, go for a job, because this is very interesting. Okay, you go for the job, you come back and you have to take care of the family as well, your extended family, your
yeah,
in-laws, whoever the hell. The
yeah,
machang sir will go and come back. Like, where is my thing? Like, oh,
exactly.
would you like to pick up a cloth? These are stories I'm hearing now. This is not an old story. Like, in fact, couple of days ago, I was telling Zara another story that I was working with, and it's crazy, right? So when you look at resources in that sense, now also women thinking that they are worthy enough to receive. There was a research that I read where if there's a position in a company for like some sort of directorial position, okay, the woman will have 80 to 90% of the requirement, 80 to 90%, not 100%, because they're like, oh, I don't have everything they're asking for, so I won't apply. Seizing
Mm,
opportunity, seizing
yeah,
the opportunity. But men, who have 60% or less of the requirement apply. All
Yeah.
right, and guess what? Who has filled that position?
Men?
The one who less than 60%. Yeah, the guy, the
Yeah.
one who sees the opportunity, right? So, like what Surangi is saying, and you can see, like, wow, the volume of conditioning that we have gone through, it's sometimes feel like a losing battle, no matter what. And that is what we want to tell the women. No, it's not. Please, if you learn these few skills, you don't need that degree. You don't need this. Just figure out these small logistics that are practical for a business. Believe in your business, because that's the other thing, right? To answer Zara's
Yes.
question, the other thing is, Zara, when they have a great, women have actually, there is research to show. I'm going to try and get the articles for y'all. We have really amazing business ideas, which are actually sustainable. And we think of sustainability inbuilt in our program for a lot of women because of all the things that we need to do every day to keep the household and all our
Running.
work sustainable and
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
right? But these don't get, there's no fruition in most of these things because social support, community support, family support is very, very limited. Particularly, I can't speak for other countries, but I can speak for the women that I've worked with here in this culture. It's like, why do you need this now? What is the point? I'm earning, now you're earning enough. There is no use for this thing. This is just to go gallivant around and meet people. And then what, when you say
It's a
it that
bad thing to meet people in the first place.
so, Zara, when you say it that way,
Yeah.
you know what happens to the mind? It goes like, oh, gallivanting, it's like such a bad thing. So we recede mentally, thinking like, oh, yeah, this is a wrong thing. Not good to do this. Instead, what would happen when the bully is telling that to you? You go, yeah, it's actually to gallivant around. They have nothing else. They haven't gotten under your skin. So it's these like basic skills. That's one of the reasons we even put communication skills into CYP, learning that and being solid in it.
Yeah.
You know, so guess what? By extension, you don't get to network. By extension, you don't get to meet, venture capitalists maybe. Okay, you don't get to go to the events, so you don't receive the funding. So what happens? You start like this, like this, like this. You go like this, and then it's like, yeah, whatever. So what's the
I
point
just
of book?
want to add, Rushma, also, like the conditioning you spoke about and Surangi, it also limits their thinking, right? They're not able to think big. They just think, okay, Hari, we
They
just
don't
have a
deserve
small
to think
shop.
big.
We're okay.
That's right. They don't
Yes,
deserve to
exactly.
think big. That's what they think. I don't deserve to think big because I'm a woman who needs to be doing this, and this. And if I do this, it should just be a pocket money and extra thing. And they don't
Yeah.
allow that passion
They
to burn.
don't go
It's
beyond that.
just extra money you get and fine. I figure out my finances.
So
Pretty interesting.
coming back to our thing, how can programs like Sisterhood in Sri Lanka and CYP Create Your Own Path help the women who take our online courses and mentorship programs? How is it different from all other courses? What are we trying to do here that will help them beyond the basics?
I spoke a lot, Surangi. You want to take that first and then I'll add it.
No problem. Yes. So to start answering Zara's question, I think mainly because it started with two women who has been in the same position, who understood exactly what the receiver is going through, that you, me and Roshma, and now you and Zara. So CYP is done by people who started it by wanting to help these people. So they do understand that now in the future also, whoever comes to CYP, they're coming to people who understand their situation and is able to help them exactly where they want help. And rather than another, like other institutes and all that, the education learning centers, it's their job. It's an idea. It's a requirement that they see in the society. So they have come up with all these courses. But CYP started as a course with two women, and now Zara has joined Rushma to continue. We understand where these receivers are coming from, and that's why we are doing. So I think that's the best reason why anybody should come to CYP.
Yeah, one thing about like what is different also to add is we are that person. We were that person at least, and we still are, right? We are recognizing that we still are, even though we sat through 5 seasons of this, we still are that woman who is still trying to figure out, like, okay, now how do I do this? Yeah, because businesses
Yeah,
keep evolving, right?
exactly.
We are recognizing with evolution, with our personal experience, and talking to other women that we're doing it. It's not just like, okay, come get a certificate and go. Now you got this for your CV.
Yeah,
Like, we don't even talk about that. There is no big certificate of completion or anything. Actually, when we started, it wasn't our focus. Our focus was, okay, today you
yes,
came in, this is the skill, you can take it and apply it right now, like right now in session. Like,
yeah,
sometimes some of the facilitations that we did, actually a large number of the facilitations that we did, they did it then and there to their profiles.
yeah,
They most of
exactly.
them use social media to run their businesses. Okay,
Mm.
then and there, they worked on it, they handled it, and they had positive responses. Plus, one thing that was like a core for us was educating them about, yes, you have this concept of SWOT analysis or whatever in business to assess your threats and strengths and all that. But we also were working with them to share with them that, you know, you are the only, let's say you're the only Zara. There's no other Zara Imtiaz like this in the whole world. Billion people, but you're the only one. You're the only one with your background who set up this business. So there will be people who will gravitate towards your energy, what you put out there, as long as you are passionate about your business and you're there for that. Right. So we encouraged women to like really put out their emotion that they wanted a customer to feel, like get them to really connect. So it was also very deep personal journey. It wasn't just you
Yeah,
come, do
exactly.
this and you go. So we had a very personal journey going on where they see the transformation. The women who messaged me and said, hey, I never thought about this in this way. And then we created abundance, not an abundance that you hear of about wealth, money, and all that. The abundance was there, like, hey, what I'm doing is full. I feel full and I'm making money out of it. I just need to take this money and now see how I can multiply it. But I feel abundant. So they feel good doing it, right? It's not a pressure of rushing with the money, rushing with the money. I have to make money. This is how my
Yeah,
business will be successful. Of course, numbers game is important. We communicate about the numbers game as well. But this becomes way more
yeah,
important during the tough time, right?
yes,
Yeah.
In the tough times, this game is more important than the money that you have. Because you have to believe that I'm stuck with money right now, but I believe that I will figure this out. I know
yeah,
I can figure this out. I have the capability. I will seize the opportunity. I will go out there, talk to people, network, and I will be willing to say, I don't know when I don't know, and I will learn.
Yeah.
So we followed them, Zara, from beginning to end. It was very personal. Like
yeah,
Surang spent times looking at their business plan. Remember? They were all
yes,
sending their
exactly.
business plan. She looked at everybody's business plan. She would put comments. She, contacts them, talks to them about it and say, hey, I noticed this, I noticed that. What about this? Talk to me about that. What's your motivation? So it wasn't just another thing. You come, Hari me, Canva, Kinganna make our PDF, Google karo. Okay, take that, write it and do. No. It was really like we were very much involved in their
Yes,
hopefully it's not too much in their business. Okay.
That's true. Just to wrap it up, though, I was thinking, Rushma, about CYP and this program we all have in how men do business. I think you would guys would agree it's different to how women do it because we can't be, for some reason, full-time entrepreneurs, right? We all have we can't spend like Steve Jobs 20 hours a day on our business and things. We have to like split ourselves, make multiple women out of us to run the family, the children.
mm-hmm.
Only we can breastfeed for some reason, so things that we can't do, kind of are impediments, right? For example, I was listening to a podcast from a famous Sri Lankan entrepreneur, and he was saying this recipe for success is you have to keep on working 24/7. It's not a 9 to 5 job. You have no breaks. You have to give all of it. And I was thinking, what if you're a woman? How many women can afford to say that? I mean, like he was saying, oh, my wife says I need work-life balance. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, he says that because his wife is managing the rest of his life, right? So he can afford to say that. I mean, so we love to say, oh, our partners or whoever are managing our lives while we are at work. We know, I mean, most of the time that's not true. You have to be the manager at home also. So in that
Mm.
sense, I think our program, what we bring is a unique female perspective to how to do business in this country, or even we will later expand to other places also. But to start with, how we as women can have it all, maybe not at the same time or at the same season, but eventually we can get there, right? That's what we want to teach female entrepreneurs through our program, something practical, something they can do in everyday lives and not just follow these motivational quotes. So we have a lot on our profile. We want to make it clear that that's not real life is not that, right? Rushma and you said Surangi, what we bring is ourselves, our experiences, right? This is real.
Yes.
And this is what we are promising to teach. Do you guys have anything else to add before we end our podcast on founders?
I just want to add one little thing. When you join CYP, you join a community that reminds you that you're not alone, right? A community that is built with a lot of people who has gone through the same thing and who are experiencing the same thing and who actually genuinely wants you to succeed as well. That is one other value that anybody can get from CYP that you can't, it's hard to get it from somewhere else. That bond, because we cannot survive alone, right? And we need a really strong base, and CYP is one place that can give that to anybody who joins the community.
Yeah, that's true. And just one last thing, which of course we're going to do another podcast on it, is about, the systemic issues also, right, with the education. I just saw a really nice research. I'm not sure, one of the Scandinavian countries, I think it was Finland actually, where they had kids, okay, do the same work, same amount of time, all right, separating these balls or something. And at the end, so you have two, they're in pairs, like 6 or 7 pairs of a boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Okay. A sexed boy, sexed girl, and who identify as boy and girl. Okay. So then at the end, you get your rewards for doing this. Right. So the guy got this full, case of candy, and the girl gets only this much. And the question was like, but we did the same thing. And the boys also went saying, but why am I getting more? We did the same thing, and they themselves went and put the candy into the girls' things, and hey, we both did it together. Okay, and it was really cute because they were measuring, is it equal? Okay, through the glass. So we are also about, CYP is also teaching women not to hate on men and put them down as well. But we're saying that we are equal, we are all equally capable, and we're not putting equity or too much, I don't have the right word about, like, women, we should, step on men, and men are not good, and all of those things as well. We're just saying, like, look, this is how this XY is, this is how XX is. How do you communicate and how do you get what you want? By not slashing each other down, right? Exactly. So it's those things also, like even how you handle your kids, right? You take this, how you handle your kid, teach your kid, okay, look, equal work, equal pay, done. Equal opportunity. So that's just one small thing I wanted to add that we do through CYP as well.
Okay. Thanks, Rushma and Surangi, for joining us today on this podcast, first of many. So let's wrap up and have a good
Zara. Thank you, Surangi.
Thank you
it was
so much.
nice to see you after a long time. And
likewise, and thank you so much for having me. All the best for both of you. And I will keep in touch as well.
Of course.
Thank you.